In every journey of faith, there comes a moment when God steps into the story in such a dramatic way that even the most doubtful heart is forced to acknowledge His power. This is that moment for you. God is preparing to shock your bank account in a way that defies calculation, defies logic, and defies every limitation that has held you back. Dr. David Yonggi Cho often reminded believers that God specializes in doing the impossible when the situation looks absolutely hopeless. When your efforts are exhausted and your resources look empty, that is precisely when God begins to release what heaven has been storing for you. You are standing at the doorway of a supernatural shift, and although you may not see it yet, the spiritual realm is already vibrating with movement on your behalf. Many people live as prisoners of their financial past failures, past losses, past anxieties, yet God is not consulting your past to determine your future. He is consulting His promises. His word declares that He will supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. And His riches are not limited by the economy, by your job, by your education, or by your connections. God's wealth is unlimited, and His desire to bless you is greater than your ability to imagine. What He is about to do in your financial life will not be the result of chance, but the result of divine orchestration. Heaven has already decided to intervene, and your faith is the key that unlocks the door. Dr. Cho taught that the greatest miracles always start in the invisible realm before they manifest in the natural world. If you want God to shock your bank account, you must allow Him to shock your mindset first. Most people think like poor people long before they become poor. They think in limits, talk in limits, expect in limits, and eventually live in limits. But God does not operate within limits. He is the God who took 5 loaves and 2 fish and multiplied them until thousands were fed with leftovers remaining. He is the God who brought water out of a rock, oil out of an empty jar, and gold out of the mouths of fish. When God decides to bless you, He does not check your balance, He checks your faith, and your faith, even if it feels small, is enough to ignite something extraordinary. There are blessings forming for you that you cannot yet see. Opportunities are shifting, people are being positioned, resources are being redirected, and doors are opening quietly behind the scenes. God often works silently before He works suddenly. You may feel stuck, but God is not stuck. You may feel delayed, but God is right on schedule. Sometimes He allows financial pressure not to punish you, but to prepare you. Pressure builds character. Pressure strengthens faith. Pressure teaches you to hear His voice above the noise of fear. If you had never faced lack, you might never have discovered just how deeply God cares about your well-being. The journey toward financial breakthrough always begins internally. You must train your spirit to see abundance before your eyes see it. Speak abundance even when your bank account contradicts you. Declare provision even when you feel surrounded by shortage. Dr. Cho built one of the largest churches in the world using nothing but faith, prayer, and a refusal to accept impossibility. He believed that every financial miracle begins with a vision that is larger than your current reality. If you see yourself as someone God wants to bless, then heaven responds to that vision. Angels move at the speed of your belief. God responds to the size of your expectation. Right now, you are on the verge of a financial testimony that will silence your enemies and strengthen your spirit. Something unexpected is coming: an email, a job offer, a business idea, a debt cancellation, a financial favor, or an opportunity that seems too good to be true. But it won't be too good to be true. It will be proof that God has remembered you. The blessing will arrive not because you deserve it, but because God is good. It will arrive not because you are perfect, but because His grace covers you. Your bank account is about to experience divine activity, and when God touches something, it cannot remain the same. A supernatural shift is heading your way, and your part is simply to believe boldly, expect confidently, and stay ready for the moment heaven opens its hand over your life. There are seasons in life when everything feels stuck, silent, and slow. You pray, but nothing seems to move. You work hard, but see little result. And you wonder if God has forgotten the financial struggles you face every day. But what you do not realize is that heaven often prepares its biggest breakthroughs in the quietest moments. When you cannot see anything changing, that is when God is arranging everything. Dr. David Yonggi Cho often said that God waits until the human effort is exhausted so that no one can take credit for the miracle He is about to perform. You are standing on the edge of such a miracle. God is about to shock your bank account in a way that will leave no doubt that it was His hand and His favor that did it. Many people misunderstand the nature of divine provision. They think that blessings are random or given only to a select few. But God is the Father of abundance, and His supply is limitless. He does not bless according to what you have. He blesses according to who He is. The moment you begin to trust Him fully, you enter a higher realm of provision where supernatural assistance becomes normal. Your financial story may have been filled with struggle, but your future can be flooded with increase. What God is preparing for you does not require the approval of any person, the permission of any system, or the timing of any market. It is a heavenly decision, and when heaven decides to elevate you, no earthly force can block it. Dr. Cho taught that miracles begin with vision. If you cannot see abundance in your spirit, you cannot experience abundance in your life. The mind must shift before the money shifts. Too many people sabotage their own blessing because their thoughts are rooted in fear. They speak poverty into their future without realizing it. They declare that nothing will change, nothing will grow, nothing will improve, and then they wonder why nothing does. God invites you to think differently, to speak differently, and to expect differently. When you begin to declare that God is your source, that He is your provider, and that He delights in blessing His children, your spiritual posture changes. And when your posture changes, your life changes. There are resources with your name on them that have not yet been released simply because the timing has not aligned. God is not late, He is precise. He does not rush miracles, He prepares them. You may feel frustrated by delays, but delays are not denials. They are divine rearrangements. Sometimes God delays your blessing because the environment around you is not ready. Sometimes He delays it because you are not yet emotionally or spiritually prepared to handle the responsibility that will come with the blessing. And sometimes He delays it because the blessing itself is still being shaped. What is coming is greater than anything you have lost. What is coming is bigger than anything you have prayed for. And when it appears, it will happen suddenly. Financial pressure can be painful, but it often leads you into deeper levels of faith. When you have no one else to depend on, you learn to depend on God completely. Dr. Cho built a global ministry out of nothing but prayer, vision, and faith. He believed that God honors those who dare to ask boldly and believe fiercely. You must position yourself the same way. Speak increase even if your bank account is empty. Speak favor even if opportunities seem scarce. Speak blessing even when circumstances argue against it. Words are seeds, and when you plant the right seeds, you prepare the soil of your life for supernatural harvest. Right now, God is preparing to surprise you financially. You may receive a phone call that changes your income, a message that opens an unexpected door, a transaction that releases held back money, or an opportunity that multiplies beyond your imagination. Something is shifting in your atmosphere even as you read these words. The season of scraping, surviving, and stressing is coming to an end. God is about to show you what happens when He steps into a situation with His unlimited power and His unstoppable grace. A blessing is coming that will not only meet your needs but exceed them. Something remarkable will happen that will make you look at your life and say, "Only God could have done this." Your bank account is on the verge of supernatural activity, and the testimony that is forming will uplift your heart and glorify God's name. There comes a season in every believer's life when ordinary efforts are no longer enough, when human wisdom cannot produce results, and when natural solutions seem to fail. It is precisely in these seasons that God prepares to reveal His supernatural provision. Dr. David Yonggi Cho often emphasized that God loves to shock His children with blessings that surpass all human expectation. Your financial breakthrough is coming, and it will arrive in a way that makes it impossible for anyone to question that it is a divine intervention. It is not a matter of chance, luck, or timing. It is the intentional movement of God's hand in your life. Even if you have experienced disappointment after disappointment, the next moment will bring a shock that will leave you speechless and filled with awe. Too many people limit God by their own thinking. They look at their bank accounts, their bills, and their empty wallets and conclude that God cannot act. They allow doubt and fear to dominate their thoughts, forgetting that God's ways are higher than human ways and that His power is limitless. Dr. Cho repeatedly taught that faith is the key that unlocks supernatural provision. When you begin to believe with all your heart, you step into a realm where impossibilities are possible. Faith sees the unseen, believes the unbelievable, and expects the extraordinary. It is not enough to hope for change. You must believe it is already on its way. God is ready to move, and your faith will determine how quickly and dramatically He acts. Financial miracles often begin in the invisible realm. Before money appears in your account, before opportunities present themselves, before debts are cleared, God is working behind the scenes. He is positioning people, aligning circumstances, and opening doors that no human hand could open. Sometimes He allows you to feel the pressure of lack not to punish you, but to teach you dependence, patience, and trust. Pressure molds your character, refines your faith, and prepares you to receive the blessings He is about to release. When your heart is aligned with God's will, when your expectation matches His promises, the breakthrough will appear suddenly in ways you could never anticipate. Dr. Cho built one of the largest ministries in the world, not through worldly wisdom or human strategy, but through unwavering faith, persistent prayer, and bold declarations. He believed that God responds to those who act in faith, speak boldly, and refuse to accept limitation. Your words are seeds. If you speak lack, fear, and impossibility, you will harvest more of the same. But if you speak abundance, favor, and provision, you align yourself with the creative power of God. Speak life over your finances, speak breakthrough over your situation, and refuse to allow circumstances to dictate your expectation. God honors those who dare to believe and act with boldness, even when the natural world says otherwise. Opportunities and resources are already being prepared for you. You may not see them yet, but God's timing is perfect. Sometimes the delay is necessary so that you can appreciate the full magnitude of the miracle when it comes. Sometimes the delay is necessary so that you are spiritually prepared to manage the blessing responsibly. What is coming is bigger than any loss you have experienced. What is coming is more than any prayer you have spoken. God does not merely provide, He overflows. He does not simply meet needs, He exceeds expectations. When heaven moves, it does so with abundance, and your bank account is about to reflect this divine overflow. Financial breakthroughs are not always immediate, but they are always certain for those who trust God. The shock that is coming to your finances will not be random or ordinary. It will be unmistakable. You will know that only God could have orchestrated it. Perhaps it will come as a phone call, a message, a business opportunity, a gift, or a sudden cancellation of debts. Perhaps it will come in ways so unexpected that even your closest friends and family will marvel at the change. God's blessings do not come in small measures. They come in abundance. Heaven is moving, and your moment of surprise and joy is approaching. Prepare your heart to receive, speak boldly with faith, and watch as God demonstrates His supernatural power in your life. There comes a moment in every believer's journey when the ordinary fails to satisfy, when human effort is exhausted, and when circumstances appear impossible to overcome. It is precisely in these moments that God prepares to act in ways that are beyond comprehension. Dr. David Yonggi Cho often emphasized that God delights in shocking His children with blessings that defy logic and expectation. You are entering one of those seasons. Your financial breakthrough is not a distant dream or a mere hope. It is a divine promise waiting to manifest. The God who multiplied loaves and fish, who parted the Red Sea, and who brought water from a rock, is now ready to demonstrate His power in your finances. What is about to happen is supernatural, intentional, and life-transforming, and no human circumstances can prevent it. Too often, people allow their minds to be trapped by limitation. They measure God's ability by their own lack and allow fear to shape their expectation. But the God you serve is limitless. He is not restricted by your current account balance, by your debts, or by the opinions of others. Dr. Cho taught that faith is the essential key that unlocks supernatural provision. Faith is not passive. It is active, bold, and unwavering. It sees what does not yet exist, it believes what cannot yet be explained, and it expects results that human logic would call impossible. Your breakthrough begins in your spirit before it appears in your bank account. The moment you believe God's word over your circumstances, you position yourself to receive a financial shock that will leave no doubt about His power. Every financial miracle begins in the unseen realm. Before you see the money, before opportunities appear, before debts are cleared, God is working. He is moving people, orchestrating circumstances, and opening doors that no human hand could open. Sometimes He allows pressure to build in your life, not as a punishment, but as a preparation. Pressure strengthens faith, cultivates patience, and teaches reliance on Him. Dr. Cho often said that God's timing is perfect. A delay is not a denial. What appears as waiting is often heaven aligning every element perfectly to produce a blessing so large that it exceeds your imagination. The pressure you feel today is laying the foundation for the abundance you will experience tomorrow. Dr. Cho built one of the world's largest ministries not through human strategy, but through persistent prayer, vision, and bold declarations of faith. Words are powerful. The words you speak plant seeds in your life. If you constantly speak about lack, limitation, or impossibility, you reinforce a cycle of shortage. But if you speak life, abundance, and provision, you prepare the soil for supernatural increase. God responds to those who act boldly and believe without hesitation. Speak to your situation with faith. Declare provision even when your bank account is empty, and refuse to accept a narrative of lack. Your words can shift your atmosphere and align you with the movement of heaven. Opportunities and resources are being arranged even as you read these words. You may not see them yet, but heaven is already at work. Sometimes delays exist so that you are prepared spiritually and emotionally to receive and steward the blessing responsibly. What is coming is bigger than any loss you have suffered, bigger than any prayer you have prayed, and more abundant than you could imagine. God does not just meet needs. He overflows with provision, favor, and abundance. When heaven moves, it does so with power, and your bank account is about to be a visible testimony of His faithfulness. Financial breakthroughs are often sudden. The moment you least expect it, a phone call, a message, a business opportunity, a debt cancellation, or an unexpected gift will appear. God's blessings are never small or mediocre. They are designed to glorify Him and to confirm His goodness in your life. The shock that is about to touch your finances will be unmistakable, undeniable, and life-changing. Prepare your heart to receive, hold on to your faith, declare victory over lack, and watch as God's supernatural hand moves in your life to provide beyond measure. Heaven is ready to act, and your season of financial breakthrough is at the door. There comes a time in every believer's life when human effort and worldly solutions are no longer enough. You may have tried every possible way to improve your finances, yet the results remain minimal or delayed. It is precisely in such moments that God prepares to act in ways that exceed understanding. Dr. David Yonggi Cho often taught that God delights in surprising His children with blessings that defy expectation. The miracle that you have been waiting for is already on its way. It is not dependent on luck, timing, or human intervention. It is the deliberate and powerful movement of God's hand, prepared in heaven long before it manifests in your bank account. The abundance that is coming will not only meet your needs, it will astonish you and leave no doubt about His goodness. Too often, people allow their circumstances to dictate their expectations. They see empty wallets, overdue bills, and mounting debts, and they conclude that God cannot act. But the God you serve is limitless. He is not restricted by your past failures, current difficulties, or the opinions of others. Dr. Cho emphasized that faith is the key that unlocks supernatural provision. Faith does not simply hope. Faith sees what is invisible, believes what seems impossible, and expects what has not yet arrived. Your breakthrough begins in your spirit before it appears in your account. When you believe God's promises over your circumstances, you align yourself with His supernatural power, and heaven begins to move on your behalf. Financial miracles always begin in the unseen realm. Before the money appears, before opportunities present themselves, before debts are cleared, God is orchestrating events, positioning people, and opening doors that no human hand could open. Sometimes He allows pressure and scarcity in your life not to punish you, but to prepare you. Pressure cultivates patience, strengthens faith, and teaches reliance on Him. Dr. Cho often explained that God's timing is perfect. Delays are not denials. What may appear as waiting is often the careful alignment of every element required for a blessing that is beyond imagination. The challenges you face today are laying the groundwork for the supernatural increase that is coming. Dr. Cho built one of the world's largest ministries not through strategy, influence, or personal resources, but through consistent prayer, bold declarations, and unwavering faith. Words are seeds that shape reality. When you speak of lack and limitation, you reinforce scarcity in your life. But when you speak of abundance, favor, and provision, you prepare your life to receive blessings from heaven. God responds to those who dare to act boldly in faith and refuse to accept the narrative of shortage. Speak life over your finances. Declare breakthrough even when your circumstances seem impossible. And trust that the power of God is greater than any challenge you face. Opportunities, resources, and divine favor are already being arranged on your behalf. You may not see them yet, but heaven is at work. Delays are sometimes necessary so that you are spiritually and emotionally prepared to receive, steward, and multiply the blessings that are coming. What is about to happen in your life will exceed any loss, surpass any prayer, and demonstrate God's abundant provision. He does not simply meet your needs, He overflows with blessings that will leave a lasting impact. Your bank account is about to reflect the favor of God in a tangible and unmistakable way. Financial breakthroughs often come suddenly and unexpectedly. A phone call, a message, a new opportunity, a debt cancellation, or a gift from an unexpected source may appear. The blessings will not be ordinary or small. They will be significant enough to glorify God and confirm His faithfulness in your life. The shock that is about to touch your finances will be undeniable, unmistakable, and life-changing. Prepare your heart to receive with expectation. Continue to speak boldly in faith, and watch as God demonstrates His supernatural power in your life. Your season of increase and breakthrough is here, and the divine favor that has been waiting for this moment is about to be released. There comes a time in the life of every believer when human efforts and worldly solutions are no longer enough. You may have tried everything within your power, yet the results remain limited or delayed. It is in these moments of seeming impossibility that God prepares to act in ways that surpass understanding. Dr. David Yonggi Cho often emphasized that God delights in shocking His children with blessings that defy expectation. Your financial breakthrough is not a distant dream or wishful thinking. It is a divine promise that is already set in motion. Heaven is aligning every circumstance, opportunity, and resource for your benefit. What is about to happen will not only meet your needs, but will overwhelm you with the unmistakable evidence of God's favor. Many people allow their circumstances to shape their expectations. They look at empty bank accounts, mounting bills, and financial struggles, and they conclude that God cannot act. But the God you serve is limitless. He is not restricted by your past failures, your present challenges, or the opinions of others. Dr. Cho taught that faith is the master key that unlocks supernatural provision. Faith does not merely hope for change. It sees what is invisible, believes the impossible, and expects results that defy human understanding. Your breakthrough begins in your spirit before it appears in your life. When you place your belief in God's promises over your circumstances, you position yourself to receive blessings that are beyond imagination. Financial miracles always begin in the unseen realm. Before money appears in your account, before opportunities present themselves, before debts are cleared, God is orchestrating events, positioning people, and opening doors that no human hand could open. Sometimes He allows financial pressure not to punish you, but to prepare you. Pressure cultivates patience, strengthens faith, and teaches reliance on Him alone. Dr. Cho often emphasized that God's timing is perfect. Delays are not denials. What appears as waiting is often the alignment of every element required for a blessing that is far greater than you can imagine. The struggles and frustrations you feel today are laying the foundation for the extraordinary increase that is about to manifest in your life. Dr. Cho built one of the largest ministries in the world, not through strategy, influence, or wealth, but through consistent prayer, bold declarations, and unwavering faith. Words are seeds that shape reality. If you continually speak of limitation, lack, or failure, you reinforce a cycle of scarcity. But if you speak of abundance, favor, and provision, you align yourself with God's supernatural power. He honors those who act boldly in faith, refuse to accept limitation, and declare victory over circumstances. Speak life over your finances, declare breakthrough even when your bank account seems empty, and trust that God is orchestrating a miracle on your behalf. Opportunities, resources, and divine favor are already being arranged in your favor. You may not see them yet, but heaven is at work. Sometimes delays exist to prepare you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally to receive the blessing fully. What is coming is greater than any loss you have endured, bigger than any prayer you have spoken, and more abundant than anything you have imagined. God does not simply meet needs. He overflows with favor, provision, and blessings that will leave a lasting impact on your life. Your bank account is about to reflect this favor in a tangible way, and your testimony will inspire and encourage others. Financial breakthroughs often come suddenly and unexpectedly. A phone call, a message, a business opportunity, a gift, or even a debt cancellation may appear out of nowhere. The blessings will not be ordinary or small. They will be extraordinary, unmistakable, and life-changing. When God moves, His actions are deliberate, precise, and beyond human comprehension. The shock that is about to touch your finances will confirm His faithfulness and demonstrate His supernatural power. Prepare your heart to receive, speak boldly in faith, and expect the extraordinary. Your season of increase, divine favor, and abundance is here, and heaven is ready to release blessings that will transform your life.